Can you hear me now? Okay. You can't hear me. Hold on. How's the sound now? Keeps on cutting out.
Well, we do have one more solution. I do have a microphone that we can use. One more.
Okay, it's good. It's good.
We're good?
Okay.
You can hear us?
Everybody can hear us? Okay.
So we really wanted to start this podcast with the interest on communication and end with mind-body connection, the communication that our own body and brain has within each of us. So, but communication actually starts in utero. Before you even get here, you're communicating. And the way is through tactile senses, through sound. A baby in utero in its mother's womb can actually hear sounds, can feel stress, can receive stress hormones. So it would really be best if we gave each individual child that opportunity to have the most calm and stress-free environment because they are listening. So reading and the father's voice, the baby can hear. So the communication starts then. And it's really about that tactile sensation of the water around them and the voice they hear, the vibrations, the mother's heartbeat, but also that communication via the stress hormones or lack of. So there's a lot of communication with the mother and the baby. And after they are born, you have a lot of other ways of communicating. Babies, of course, they respond to stimuli. They're constantly bombarded by stimuli from 1,000 different sources. So a baby's job is really to decipher all these stimuli. And they get it from the way we communicate as children without being able to talk, of course, and the way we are taking in all of that stimuli really affects the way we communicate. So when in the first year, the babies are very perceptive. They actually are more perceptive than adults in some areas. Face recognition. After 3 months, they're very attuned to people's faces, as well as, of course, the touch, the sound, all of your senses from taste. Of course, they want to taste everything and experience life that way. So all of our senses tell us a lot about communication. And as we all know, we have a lot of senses: the hearing, the auditory, the touch, the taste, and as well as the auditory, you have the ability as a child to recognize after about 3 months, even better than adults. Their perception is keener. So if you take a baby to the zoo and he sees, you take him to the exhibit with monkeys, and they've tested babies after they've gone to the zoo and they've seen monkeys. If you give them a picture of the monkey that was not at the zoo and a picture of the monkey that was one that they saw, they're going to focus more on the monkey that they actually saw at the zoo. So as adults, now, if you take that baby back a year later, he's not going to remember that as much as he's just about as poor as adults are on recognizing details, because we have a broader perception of details. So we have a broader lens, so to speak. So with babies, they're narrower lens, so they can recognize the even under a year, before they can even speak, they can recognize what they see. So their perception, our perception, narrows as we get older because we focus on things that matter to us most. So it kind of narrows and specializes to what matters to us. So a baby and a child under a toddler can really, they can absorb languages and understand, and their communication skills are much keener than ours because they are very receptive to different languages under 5. So you have a much harder time of learning languages after 8 or 9 or 10. So we, as an adult, it's much harder to absorb that language. You'll have a bilingual child that picked up 2 or 3 languages quite easily, whereas it would take us a lot more focus, as you know, to learn a language. If you ever wanted to learn one, have you ever wanted to learn another language? Or
Well, of course, and I do know a little bit, tiny bit of Russian. Actually, maybe something a lot of people don't know about me. I know a tiny bit of Russian, and I do know a good bit of Spanish. And, well, I know just basically the basic everybody words in French. So
a little bit about a lot of languages. So that goes back to focus. So if you focus, it's been proven that if you really focus on something, that's the only way to really absorb something. You don't really build new neurons as people think. Learning a new skill would be nice. But after about 25, that ability, you have all the neurons you're going to make, unfortunately. But you can develop, a keener sense of learning and attention, which we all need more of, and learning how to focus. And that attention can be really that made more keen by focusing. And I know it's like it takes focus to learn focus, but if you focus on something with your eyes and your body as a child under a year old, you can see they only see something that's right in front of them before 3 months. They perceive and they communicate and take in stimuli with their eyes and their body. So if you want a child to have more attention, put it right in front of his face until 3 or 4 months, because until then they can't move their head. So the head and the eyes throughout your life really determine what you're focusing on. So as we learn to turn our heads and our bodies to the direction of our focus, we don't take in as much information, which has a lot to do with how we communicate with the stimuli that we respond to. So as in a toddler, they're constantly experiencing things, and the way they communicate is sometimes nonverbal, and we have to encourage them by reading to them. They before they speak, they're really listening to the sounds. The baby that is mimicking the and the ooh and the na and the ma and the ba, they're practicing. So baby talk, that gets in the way. Don't baby talk your baby. If you really want them to be more aware and progress a little further and a little faster, speak normally to him. Read to them, even though it doesn't make sense to them and they're not comprehending exactly the meaning of what you're reading to them. It really doesn't matter. What matters is that they are learning the way to form a sound. They're watching the way that you're communicating and listening to the way you're communicating to them, and they're learning how to speak. The way a child learns to speak is mimicking. Of course, at first they're going to mimic what you say. So if you baby talk them, they're going to be a little confused. They're not going to say, did your mom baby talk you when you were little? Do you remember?
Yes,
every mom does.
But only to manipulate me into behaving.
Yeah, it's that sweet little voice that moms use. But you really want to teach your child, read to them every evening. Get it into a habit because reading really helps to help them learn to communicate. So after toddlers, about 8 years old, their IQ is kind of set. So you want to stimulate them as much as you can and give them experiences, and don't constantly say no. Put them in an environment that they're safe And you can say more yeses to them instead of no's, because that's higher stimuli. Of course, they're always being bombarded with stimulus, but you want to give them an outlet to be curious, increase their curiosity. They'll communicate better. Even if they have limitations as in autism and ADD and the things that ADHD rather now, it's no longer called ADD, it's ADHD. And even if there's slight disabilities, you can stimulate them by really creating environments that they are positive, that they get a lot more yeses, increase their curiosity in all things. So because their IQ is set pretty much at 8, you have your IQ. So before then, you can really stimulate it. It has a lot, and it doesn't mean that you can't communicate unless you have a high IQ. It just means that the higher your IQ, the more you'll understand and faster. So as communication builds and we learn to talk, and we've taken that names of things. We learn objects and the names of objects, but you move into puberty, you have that need to fit in. You remember that?
I do. I do.
That thing, that desire to fit in comes from, I believe, the prehistoric desire to be in a group. You must fit in, because in prehistoric days it was not safe. If you didn't fit in, you were isolated. Isolation and was tantamount to death, because if you were ignored and you were shunned, and there are cultures now and religions that will shun you, and that is very, very, very important.
We have our first question.
What's that?
Okay, someone asks, should I focus on getting a girlfriend in this age?
How old are you? Because if there's a focus already and there's a desire. 11 years old. Well, I'll tell you something. Personally, I met the love of my life, my girl's father, at 11. So we are born sexual beings. We're born that way. We're curious. We have a sexuality. We have that desire to be curious. Upon birth, 3-year-olds, they're going to be curious about the opposite sex. And 11 years old, I personally met the father of my children. So I was affected then. It really has to do with prepubescence. That's when we start communicating with fitting in and being, and really that desire to fit in and be similar while we're trying to be autonomous is real tricky, because we want to be different and we want to be the same too. So prehistoric days, we had to fit into a group. We had to have a clan to be safe, basically. So we're kind of hardwired for that that clannish kind of behavior, that stuff that the clique in high school you couldn't stand.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's a tough
just
time.
Awful.
It's a tough time. It's really tough, but we're hardwired that way. So we're designed to stick together for safety. Now, in puberty, it gets a little tricky, because that's when we want to become more autonomous. And the crazy thing is, we choose to do things that are very similar to be autonomous, like tattoos and things that everybody else is doing. Suddenly we want to be different by doing the same things, which I feel that it is a tough time, but that's when we're learning to communicate and find that pre-desire, like you're speaking of, the one that had the question, that pre-desire, it's there. You're going to develop that. And it's not abnormal right now to want to find someone to relate with. Basically, you want somebody to communicate with. And it's okay. It's just fine, because you just don't want to move things along faster than they should go. That's the key. You don't want to push things along faster. Let it grow organically, because let's face it, we're not ready for a lot of things at this age, but we're still curious. So the best way to go about it, I feel, is to let it flow organically and not push it along. And if you feel the desire, just be safe. Don't go ahead of yourself and do things that we all know have repercussions, and just go slowly, live in the moment, and don't push things along, because that way we can enjoy the moment. We're not trying to live in the future or live in the past. That creates a way to be healthier by being in the moment and not thinking about, how do I look? What do I look? What is he thinking? Because mainly the most important thing we can lay down in this life is and we learn this later, beyond puberty, you learn that what's most important are your own ideals. What is important to you, not somebody else. So what they think is much more important to their lives, not yours. So the most important thing that we need to get out of puberty and to be autonomous is that we're just fine the way we are. We were born differently, and we should accept others, and not, if we have this judgmental thought about something, try to recognize it first and foremost. Try to say, okay, that was a judgment. That's not very fair. When we're aware of our judgments of others, we can empathize more, because empathy, it really is important.
We have our second question.
Go ahead.
Another question by the same person is, how do I deal with bullying?
Okay, this kind of ties in with what I was saying about autonomy. Bullying is a way to say, you're not like me. I'm going to be in this clan that is not like you. And I'm going to identify with another clan. And that makes you the other. And that is, first and foremost, very toxic. Very toxic. And but it's only as powerful as you let it be. Because bullying has to do with them, not you. They are insecure. And the way they're projecting more security, which they don't have, it's a thinly disguised way to say, I'm very insecure, and so I'm going to pick on you so somebody doesn't pick on me. So we really want to try and work on not letting what others think about us affect us quite as much, and lay down that burden of what others think. Because bullying is only effective if it works. If you're not affected and you don't say, I'm crushed, I'm affected, and you move on as if it didn't happen. Now, that if they are physically bullying you is one thing. Go to the authorities, go to your teacher, go to your counselor, and speak about it. Let someone know. Make it aware. Make someone aware that can monitor that situation. If it is verbal, try and remember that one of the most important things we can do is not take anything that someone says personally. Nothing. Because it's always a reflection on what they are lacking, not you. It's never about you. It is about the bullier. It says, I'm insecure, and I'm going to pick on you to make myself look bigger or feel bigger. So that's at the heart of any bully. If you face that bully and say, you know what? I really don't care what you think. And yeah, you're really small. You're really small inside. And I would take a look at that. Yeah. And just, if you're not affected by it, it doesn't give them the satisfaction. They want to get a rise out of you, and they want to affect you in a negative way. So if that doesn't happen, they're more likely going to go on to another person if it doesn't affect them by picking on you. You know, saying it's hard. I mean, it's not hard. It is. You know, I think we've talked about this before, Atriel and I. We both had this experience in school, because if you're different and if you're secure and you're being different, you're going to have people that are not so secure that want to point out how different you are.
Yeah.
So it's good to be different. Bottom
Very
line.
much.
Bottom line. we're all individuals. It's really good to be different. We communicate our authentic selves by honoring our differences. If we were all the same, it'd be pretty boring. So
True.
we have to honor how are we different. We're more alike than different, truthfully. But other cultures have otherized other whole cultures and annihilated them, as you know.
Yeah.
So from the Native Americans to the Holocaust, we have listened to bullies that have been in power
Yeah.
to the point that we've annihilated whole cultures.
You're true.
So you're well aware, as your grandfather, as a good friend of mine, being Jewish, it is not just the only culture that has been bullied in mass, bullying in mass. So we have had leaders that were so insecure that they were going to, they talk a whole culture of people into thinking that other set of people, they're not like us. They're not worthy. They really need to leave the party. And sometimes literally for good. So there's been horrific incidences of bullying in mass. So this is something that I feel we need to raise the empathy level.
Of course.
That's basically what we need to do. We need to speak out against it and be true to yourself and be true to your word and communicate that I'm not standing for this. When I was in school and, there was somebody being bullied, I felt that connection to be a champion. We all need to be a champion for someone. Do that. When you stick up for somebody and say, hey, that's really messed up. What you're doing, it really shows how small you are. You need to stop. And tell that person they have safety with you. And come on over here. That's what I did. And I was a champion to many people and still am. To inspire people, to communicate better things and higher things. Small minds talk about people. Bigger minds talk about things and events. Really big minds talk about ideas.
Yeah.
So we need to talk about big things, not talk about petty things. If you find yourself in a group of people that's talking about somebody else, just say, I don't want to do this. I've got better things to do. Because that's where it starts. Let's talk about somebody. If you don't like her, sit by me. No, don't be that person. And that's where bullying can be stopped. You just say, hey, no, I don't do that. That's not who I am. And I've got other things to do. So, any more questions? We can move on.
Somebody said I need this girl as my therapist.
I really inspire a lot of women as I run the spa. Where we are right now is in Athena, Spa by the Sea. I'm on Facebook, and I started this business.
All the links for her are down in the description of this podcast. Currently.
This is my baby, and we are in Athena, Spa by the Sea now. And Athena was born in 2015, and I developed a skincare industry that I do a lot of communicating, a lot of different things here. And it's not just skincare. It is inspiration. It is communicating that mind-body connection. We all have that connection with our own bodies. Our body keeps the score, so to speak. There's a book on that. Because when we have repressed emotions and we don't communicate them, they go inside us.
Not outside.
Express yourself. Find someone. Find a friend. Don't keep it in.
No.
Find a therapist.
Let it out.
Yes. Atriel, I talk to him all the time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be pretty. Life is messy. But it's okay. It's beautiful. But communicate what you're feeling. In fact, a really good way. Do you ever journal?
I do.
So this journaling thing is like writing a letter to yourself or somebody else. A lot of times we can journal and get out how we feel, even if we just put a couple of sentences. You have a journal, you put a couple of sentences, and you say, this is how I feel. A lot of times we lose touch with how we feel because we're so busy repressing it, saying, I don't want to feel like that, so I'm just not doing it. No, it's okay. Yeah. Emotions are communicating. They're like barometers. They're not meant to live there in an emotion, like a grudge. It's like living in the past. You're stealing from the moment. So a grudge and thinking about something that, you're mulling it over like a sore tooth and you can't let go of it, That's in the past.
Yeah.
So really it's best if we just live in the moment and try, and if we feel something, of course, express it. But I like to journal because it gives me an idea of how I'm feeling. And that way you can look at it, even if it's a sentence or two. I'm feeling anxious, or I'm feeling really sad. I'm not even sure why. But if you write it and you think about it, you can say, hey, this, I'm being triggered by something that I felt. Somebody said something to me today. Mm-hmm. And didn't really hit me. I just let it go in and out, and I didn't think about it. But it's making me feel less than. Yeah, they said, you know, what's your trigger? A lot of us, we have things that trigger us, like shame triggers. Now, we all have things that embarrass us. We can use that as a tool to, what bothers us, and something that embarrassed us. It's not so harmful. But shame, the difference between embarrassment and shame is that I did something stupid. Oh, I'm embarrassed. Oh my God, you know what I did today. You tell somebody and you're like, you can get past it. But shame is more, I am something bad because I did that. That's not true. We all have things that say, I'm less than because I didn't finish school. I'm less than because I didn't finish college. I'm less than because I didn't live up to what my mom and dad wanted me to do.
It's not true.
No.
It's not true.
It's more about, we all have those triggers that make us feel less than. We can't really let go of them completely, but we can become more resilient. Brene Brown is a great one to read if you're interested in further reading on this. Brene Brown's I Thought It Was Just Me. Shame, resilience. We all have things that trigger us. Get in touch with what triggers you by journaling, because communicating with yourself and it's the best relationship you'll have. It's like, if you know yourself better, then you'll be stronger. When that bully comes and says, why don't you wear what we wear? That's what I got in school. Why aren't you wearing dark jeans? Then when I was in school, it was like all about the dark jeans. I was like, because I don't really like them. And that's not what I wear.
Jeans.
And they
never liked jeans.
It's like, but kids, girls particularly will pick on you with fashion.
Yeah.
And things like that. It's like, if you don't have the best and the finest, then they will come to you with that kind of thing. Like, it didn't really let it bother me, but deep down I was like, they're stupid, truthfully. I don't really want to hang out with you anyway. But, we're born to want to fit in. So we can't really help that desire to want a group that we do like. What's that group that you do like and you want that's true to your values? What are your values? If you journal, you can write, what really matters to me? Is it clothes? Probably not. Is it fun things to do? Yeah, that's more like it. What matters to you is what makes you feel good. There's only one thing. There's only two feelings in this world. That makes me feel good.
That makes me
or
feel
that
bad.
makes me feel bad.
Makes me feel bad.
Yeah. So you kind of know pretty much immediately. That person, within 3 minutes, we have this intuitive thing that we have that tells us within 3 minutes whether we like someone. 3 minutes. Yeah, that's how long it takes. Because our heart and our gut, they all give us information. They communicate with our bodies and our minds. Our mind, our head, that's kind of the last to get the picture. But our hearts and our guts, we have cells in our vagus nerve, and runs the length of our body and our hearts. We actually have neurons in our hearts that are very receptive to communicating and receiving and giving information. So if you think with your heart, you're more empathetic. If you think with your gut, you're more intuitive, because deep down, there's something wrong with that. What they just said, I don't really like that. If you just go hang out with them anyway, guess what? You're going to be like a chameleon, and you're going to be trying to fit in with somebody you don't even like. So get in touch with what your ideals are.
Yeah.
To really be true to yourself is more important than fitting in. It takes a while to figure this out. It does. But if you don't know what you really stand for, then you're not going to know. So it's best to do a little journaling and try and figure out what you really stand for. What is it matters to you? And that way you can be stronger. That way you can know in your heart what matters to you. And that's, there's 4 things in this world that really matter. Always do your best. Not be yesterday's best or tomorrow's best, but right now, do your best. Never assume. Don't make judgments based on what you think. Oh my God, what's she look at me like that for? She must be mad at me. No. Most things that people are thinking and project to you are about them, not about you. So don't make judgments based on assumptions. Ask a lot of questions. Third, never take anything personally. This is tough, really tough. Because it also is never about you. What somebody says to you, that is about them. If you don't take things personally, and I'm not talking about just bad things, flattery too, take it with a grain of salt. Because what really matters more is that what you feel about yourself. So you build that self-esteem by doing good things for others, typically. And never make assumptions based on judgments based on assumptions, and don't take things personally. It's hard, but realize that whatever they said is really not about you, and it's a reflection on them. And if they're spewing toxicity, yeah, that's like trying to take poison and expecting somebody else to get poison. That's like, they're toxifying themselves, basically. The 4th thing is always be true to your word. And that is true to how you feel, true to your beliefs, and true to your word. If you say you're going to do that, do it. If you feel that that's the wrong thing or the wrong ideal, you don't believe in that, you don't believe in that prejudice or that judgment or that whatever bullying toxicity that you're coming across, then stand up and say it. It might not feel comfortable, but sometimes we have to communicate in a space of not being so comfortable. Some things don't feel so good saying, but we have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, because when you're true to yourself, you have to speak your truth. It gets easier. It does. So I feel that sometimes, we all try and fit in, and if we do it too much, we become chameleons, and we lose ourselves. We're not speaking our truth. And so we're borrowing truths. We're saying, what do you want? I'll do that too. No. If you journal and you true to yourself and you listen to something that doesn't feel quite right, don't go along with it anyway. Do you have any more questions?
So somebody did say, I have a job for you. It's a security gig. All you have to do is keep your eyes on the monitors. What does that mean?
I think it's the wrong platform. I own a spa, and I think Atriel is, he's got a lot going on. I'm not really looking for a side gig right now, but thank you for the tip. So the communication style, as we get out of puberty and out of being a teenager, we realize more about ourselves, and our every 10 years or so, our communication style changes. And as you become more, you come of age, it becomes about communicating to the opposite sex or the same sex, whatever you're attracted to. It's really about just finding a partner. It becomes you want to communicate and find somebody to share things with. So communication becomes body language, and it becomes more important that we read people correctly. And one of the harder things to understand is that there's a lot of nonverbal communication going on. It's interesting. A lot of times we have to read people without really knowing, because about 5 years old, you learn how to lie, because, it's really important to be accepted by your parents. You want to be, you don't want to get in trouble. You want to be loved. So you want to be doing the things that they want you to do. And we learn how to lie about 4 or 5 years old, and because we realize mom, her body language says one thing and her voice says another. And body language people pick up on more than we think about. If we're sitting back or we're leaning in and we're like, our eyes are open, our pupils are bigger, you'll notice if somebody likes you, look at their eyes. Their pupils will be bigger. If they're leaning in and they're imitating you'll start imitating somebody's body language, because that's how we relate without non-verbally. So there's all a non-verbal communication going on. When people are lying, a lot of times they'll do things that are a little bit different. They won't be able to sit still. They'll look off. They won't be able to look in the eye. There's a lot of body language going on with deception. But that's just one area that detectives and people that are more interested in finding out if somebody's lying, which is pretty handy if you're in a relationship. You want somebody who's being authentic and truthful. And but the body language is another way we communicate. And if somebody's sitting back, for instance, and they have their arms crossed and their eyes are narrowed, you think they're being receptive to what you're saying? No. They could care less. So don't do that in an interview. You got to lean forward and ask questions. Open your eyes and really focus, because we take in more information when we narrow our focus. And we're really looking at something. You can take it in better. You can notice things more about it. And when you find yourself wandering, your mind wandering, that happens with some people more than others. When you're bored with something, your mind wanders. So to really live in the moment, and you want to think about right now. You don't want to think about the past. You don't want to think about the future. Live in the moment. Being mindful and living right now is really important, because of that. You're stealing really from the moment. When you're somewhere else, you're driving down the road and suddenly you don't know how you got there, wherever you got to. That's because you're not really thinking about it. It's kind of dangerous. You want to stay present, because that's how you really live your life to the fullest. If you're eating, just eat. Don't sit in front of the TV. If you are reading or you're really engaged in something, you're going to learn more, and you're really going to be present. To know what you really love, think about what you loved as a child. What did you do as a child before you realized what you're supposed to be doing? And culturally, you're told what to do. That thing that brings you joy is what's going to calm your little ego inside. We have a lot of times when we do things we're supposed to do, but we don't take time to do things that are fun. Joy is really what helps us focus. If you want to learn how to focus and have more attention to whatever you're doing, then practice focus on everything you're doing at the moment. If you're eating, just eat. If you're eating ice cream, really enjoy the ice cream. Eat it fully. Don't think about what you're going to do next, or what TikTok thing you're going to look up or eat at the same time you're doing that. That's called grazing. And you'll eat a lot more, and you won't even taste it. So it's really about mindful, being present really helps us live our best lives. And that's how I try and, when I have somebody and I'm in a service and I'm giving skincare and I'm teaching people how to really de-stress, because a lot of our stress it really has a horrible effect on our bodies because our minds and our bodies are communicating too. And when we're really stressed, and we have a couple of kinds of stress. I mean, some stress is good. It's not all bad. We want a little stress to be able to navigate it. A little imbalance. So small things that stress us, say a little heat, a little cold, they can make us stronger. But too much stress, or like a chronic stress that keeps you focused on this low buzz of stress and you're always worried, that's dangerous because that's what really gets you. That's what really tells your mind and your body that you're not doing so well. And you can actually create chronic disease by stress. Stress actually does kill. It creates a hormone cascade in your body, and your body's communicating. Your mind and your body, your skin, actually, and your brain in the womb are the same stem cell. So they're in communication your whole life. So your nervous system and your mind and what you're thinking about are very closely related. So we want to understand that what we think about expands. When we are obsessively thinking about something negative, of course, it's going to expand, and it's going to create a downward spiral and a cascade of cortisol, adrenaline, neuroepinephrine, things that are in excess create that fight or flight feeling. You were ready to jump, and you're so alert that you're constantly stressed.
Now we do have another question.
Okay.
Do you have any tips for a school musical?
Mhm.
I am in a stage crew and a monkey for a Jungle Book,
Mhm.
for the Jungle Book.
Mhm.
And they're asking if you have any tips.
And your question is on what area? So you are in a play, and you're so what kind of area are you having difficulties with? Is it your lines? Is it stage fright? Tell me more about what you are having difficulties with, and I'll be able to direct a little bit and kind of fine tune things.
Said kind of lines.
The kind of lines. So you have in a play, you have lines. So you're referring to
He's kind of struggling with the lines.
okay, in memory. Is it in remembering your
Can't
lines?
really keep up.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right, it's about focus and being able to remember your lines. And are you thinking about how you're looking? Are you having an out of body experience? Are you thinking, how am I sounding? How am I? At the same time, I would say that you may want to write your lines and speak them into a mirror when nobody's around. And look at the way you look when you're expressing them. Because when you're communicating your lines, you want to look like you have the emotion that you want to come across with. So in a play, you have a character and you want to express and communicate a certain vibe and that feeling. So watch your eyes, watch your face as you're saying things. Don't use a monotone. So you want to express yourselves. You're in that way that what are you trying to express? What is your character trying to say? Think about that and what you are trying to say and the emotion behind it, because the emotion affects your face and affects the way you deliver things. So if it's a memory, I would say that's one thing. Focus on
the person is afraid of how they sound as well.
Oh, okay. So what you want to do is get in front of a mirror and have your phone. If you have a phone and you record it. See how you sound. See if you have a monotone. See how you sound with it, because I've done commercials for my spa when I first got here, and I've written 4 or 5 of them, and I would write them first, and I'd rewrite them till I got it right under a minute. It has to be about a minute. And I would practice them. I would speak them because I had to actually speak them into a radio station microphone too. So I would practice them in the mirror, and I would speak them, and I would record it. So you have to see how you sound beforehand. So the best tip I can give you is to record yourself beforehand, so you know how you sound and how you're coming across. Because if you don't, then you don't know. You're just kind of guessing. How do I sound? In my head, I'm too busy focusing on the words, memory, how am I sounding? It can kind of mess with you. So practice in the mirror and record it is my best tip, because that gives you, when you're prepared, there's less fear. When you're prepared and you've done it over and over and over, and you've spoken it into a microphone, you've erased it and done it again, and you've written it, I will write the words, speak the words, look in the mirror as you're recording it. See how you look, see how you're coming across, and record it. So if you don't like it, what do you not like about it? Write it down. Practice it again and tweak it a little bit, because it's really about awareness, how you're looking, how you're sounding. So that's my best tip. So until I get another question and Atriel lets me know, we'll move on to that. What I was referring to before was that mind-body connection. And when I get people in front of me, and women particularly, some men, that get facials and get massages and the like, oftentimes during a massage, of course, not talking as much. It's about that sensory, and they're relaxing. But during a facial, you have to instruct people, and you have to let them know what the best thing for their skin. And really, it's about nutrition. It's about your stress levels. It's about many, many, many different things that affect your skin. So when you're breaking out, it's because you're nervous about something, you're stressed, and your body has a cascade of stress hormones that come floating down because of your thoughts. Well, let's get back to that for a second. Your thoughts. Here's the thing. We don't want to be hypercritical about what we're thinking about, but we also want to be aware, because truly our thoughts lead to actions, lead to a lot of different things, sometimes negative. We all have that voice in our heads that's kind of like that monologue, that thing that we say to ourselves when we are stressed. Oh my God, I can't believe you did that. I can't believe you said that again. If I could take that back, that's living in the past. Realize that we are not ever going to be perfect. That's not the ideal. Perfection is dangerous. Perfectionism leads to procrastination. It leads to a halting of your life, because if it's not perfect, we're not going to do it. Perfectionism is toxic. It's imbalanced. It's about always, if you can't do it your best, you're not going to do it at all. No, that's not what life is about, showing up. It's about doing it and growing from it. Growing from mistakes too. It's not comfortable, but we learn more from mistakes than we do the things we did well sometimes. So get used to that. That is something perfectionists procrastinate. They don't often start anything because it won't be their best. It's not about that. It is, I did say, always do your best, which is an ideal that is good, but perfectionism, not so much. So, but the mind-body connection that we have has a lot to do with what we're thinking. So be the watcher of your thoughts. The best way you can do that is to take 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Do small things, because that way you'll create a habit. The way we create habits are doing small things over and over. If we say, I'm going to change my whole life, and I'm going to exercise more, I'm going to eat everything good, I'm just going to be perfect, it's never going to happen. So you want to do incremental change, small ways, incremental ways will lead the way. So you say, for 5 minutes, I'm going to sit and I'm going to be relaxed, and I'm going to think about how I want to start the day. but just relax 5 minutes and I'm going to meditate. It's really not a scary thing. It just means you let go of all the monologue in your brain and you watch it. Because truly, who we really are is not our thoughts. It's hard to believe. It's not our thoughts. Well, who the hell is up there doing that? Well, it's not that it's not you. It's about that you are really you know more than you think you know. And you're calmer than you are. And it underneath your thoughts is that you can be the watcher of your thoughts. Because that's really you. The essence of you is behind your thoughts. If you can sit there for 5 minutes and say, and just like a bubble under the water, the bubbles up, and let it go. If a thought comes up, let it go. And calm your mind. 5 minutes of that in the morning or before you go to bed will lead you to a calmer you. It's proven the brains of people that meditate handle stress better when they do have it. So there are ways that we can mitigate stress by just taking the time to take 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, and breathe. There's one way that you can instantly calm yourself by breathing. So there's a thing called a physiological sigh. You want to breathe deeply. Anytime you feel that stress or that angst cropping up, breathe deeply. And a deep inhale, and then 1 second one right above it. So you're inhaling, and then another one. So you inhale, and that is called a physiological sigh. The sound helps, by the way. So you want to inhale. Just that sound will relax you. But that deep inhalation and then a little bit behind it. So the emphasis on the exhale, remember, breathing can help you relax and it can help you energize. But if the emphasis is on the exhale, lengthen it. If the emphasis on the exhale, that's relaxing. If you want to energize in the morning, have it be on the inhale. Energizing, because the emphasis is on the inhale. So you can use your breath for relaxation or energizing. It depends on what you need to do. So relaxation, remember that physiological sigh, because it works, scientifically proven. Because the strange thing is when you breathe deeply, if you're not aware of this, your heart has more room. It lowers your blood pressure. Physically affects your body and your heart the moment you take a deep breath. So if we're just always breathing real shallow all day, you don't get the oxygen to your brain, but you also don't get it to your heart. So breathing deeply expands for the inhale, the space that your heart has. So your heart rate lowers the moment you take a deep breath. So it's a really important.
I'm going to take over for you for a little bit.
Okay.
So you can go.
I'll be right back, guys. Atriel's going to take over for a second. I'm going to get a little bit of information. Right back. Thanks.
So, I have enjoyed this very thoroughly. While Susan is not here, I would like to ask if anyone would be interested in us going for another hour. We've been on for about an hour. And if we are having fun here, my eyes look pretty blue right now. We have a big ring light here. It's amazing stuff. But I hope that everybody is enjoying. I hope that anybody who of course is on here, anybody who's interested, is enjoying themselves. We are more than happy to answer any questions. As long as it's not something that's well, let's say something that's impossible to answer. And so I usually, um, honestly, I don't get a lot of talk time in the podcasts. And next season, if we do a second season, I don't know if anybody wants a second season, but we're approaching the end of this season. If anybody wants another season, this was originally going to be like a show that's for me. And so, because you get the title purely Atriel, but I wanted my grandfather on the show, and I wanted a lot of other guests, and I've achieved that goal. Um, Season 2 might dive into some personal stuff, just because I'm an honest person, and I have no problem being honest. And I am more than happy to be honest with anyone that I come in contact with, because it's just who I am. But while we're on the subject of a podcast, Susan, who is on this podcast with me, owns this amazing spa, Athena's Spa by the Sea, which we are currently sitting in. Are bunch of just very relaxing water, relaxing, just everything in here is just amazing. Every bit of it is amazing. Like, I cannot even stress this enough. You go into a room and there are just it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So with that being said, Susan is back.
So we'll take a little tour of the spa, and I'll let you know that if you are ever interested in a little bit of help with your skin, with your mind, body, and inspiration, it's what I do for my clients. I am more than an esthetician, which is an esthetician is typically someone who studies skin, and the relationship between nutrition and beauty from the inside out is my focus. So I study nutrition, stress management, sleep management, nutrition in the form of supplements to help with sleep. Sleep has a lot to do with our bodies, because we can't repair during sleep.
You can't really function at all without sleep. Like, you can go a while without food and even a little while without water, but 24 hours without sleep is enough to affect you on every level. It's enough. Not only are you sleep deprived, but the parts of your brain that would usually be working and would usually have enough strength and fuel and connection to the rest of your body have not reset. And so the fact that they have not reset causes them to not work properly, can also cause extra stress. Like Susan was saying, a little bit of stress is good, but too much stress is very bad. And so if you don't function as well. You don't. And it's more than just you feeling tired. You may lash out, you may have mood swings, you may not be able to do any daily tasks.
And you can't stay as alert. You just can't. You can't focus on things as well. And your circadian rhythm, which has to do with the light that you see, if you aren't getting enough daylight, and first thing in the morning, it's really best to get 20 minutes as the sun is good on your skin, without sunscreen and without sunglasses, because we take in light. We need that. It's only been 120 years that we've had LED light or lighting in our homes. So we were for eons getting up at the dawn, going to bed with dusk, little candlelight.
Yeah.
So we have upset our circadian rhythms, which means that thing that tells us when it's time to get up, and it's hormonally affecting us. So melatonin rises, and then, or rather, it helps us become sleepy. and then serotonin rises and we wake up. So it's a hormonal switch. So circadian rhythm has to do with even blind people because of the pineal gland in the brain. It's a tiny little gland, tells even a blind person what time of day it is. So it's really, really important that we get daylight early in the morning, sunlight on our skin, in our eyes, as well as, and if you didn't get that early morning daylight, get it at dusk, because dusk and that level of light in the evening can also help reset that. So our circadian rhythm has a lot to do with how well we sleep. And how well we sleep is very important. REM sleep is what you get, that dream state, that rapid eye movement, REM. Even if we wake up, go back to sleep, and the REM kicks in. So we need
otherwise known as REM.
REM sleep, the rapid eye movement. So you have deep sleep. You need two cycles of that. The reason we need 8 hours is because every 4 hours we have that. It's a cycle that we need in deep sleep. Now there's sleep apps now that you can track your sleep if you have a smartwatch. They're really cool because they tells you how much deep sleep, how much REM sleep, and if you're competitive and you like to improve your bodies, get a sleep app. If you have a sleep watch, if you have an Apple Watch, it's really effective. It will tell you how you're sleeping and how to improve it, but it's really important. So I think that he's right in that sleep is more important than we know. It's not just for get as much as you think you need. It's different for everybody, but it's more, it's pretty generally set to 6 or 7 hours, 8 optimum, and more is not better. It's not, and it can actually disrupt your brainwave pattern if you have too much sleep. If you're sleeping all the time, you need a certain amount of daylight, and really LED lighting is affecting us in a great way.
It is.
All our lights that we have at night toward dusk, the best way to sleep well is to have a sleep ritual. Lower the lighting. Don't look at screens. I know it's tough.
Yeah.
Step away, especially at night, because LED lighting is known to reduce your melatonin. Don't take melatonin to sleep. It is a hormone.
It does not help.
It's
Melatonin, the medication. It never any time that I tried it, my mom gave it to me a couple times as a kid, and we tried it, and it kept me up. It did the opposite. It kept me up rather than put me to sleep.
It's actually, we're the only country that melatonin has gotten. You can get it over the counter. Did you know that?
Really?
In Europe, it's a hormone.
Europe,
we can get it at the dollar store here, and it's crazy because it's a hormone. So when you replace hormones in your brain and you start messing with those, it has to do with your brain's pretty efficient. If you start adding melatonin, you make less of it. So if you ever quit, you're kind of messed up. So you have that balance is messed up. So melatonin has to do with seasons. So in the summer, we have less because we have more light and we have less need for melatonin. So if we just take it as a rule to help us sleep, the better option is the L-theanine. L-theanine is an amino acid that will help us sleep. And it's a chamomile, low lighting, Epsom salts or magnesium. Magnesium is very effective at relaxing muscles.
Really good for you.
And Epsom salts has magnesium in it. So
Also
those kind
really
of things are natural
rather than
remedies. So you want to choose. And another thing that will really affect us is exercise during the day, not too late in the day. But we're made to get rid of kinetic energy. When we don't, and we sit too often, we have a buildup of tension. So you get restless leg syndrome. You're moving. You're restless. And so it's really about using that exercise as a way to expend some of the energy. Kinetic energy can be stored in our muscles So muscle relaxers, calcium, natural ones, not medication, but there are natural muscle relaxers. Magnesium and calcium can be used. Calm is a favorite supplement of mine that is powder form. Magnesium baths, Epsom salts, the old-fashioned thing, is very effective. You can absorb a lot of it into your body to relax. If you ever have muscle cramps, calf cramps, Epsom salts and calcium or calm before you go to bed. That combination of magnesium, most people are kind of short on it. So if you get cramps, do you ever get cramps in your calves?
I have.
It's
Most
really
definitely.
about buildup of lactic acid and in your muscles and a lack of calcium. So magnesium and calcium, most people are some kind of deficient in that. So especially magnesium. So it's a really a good supplement to use for relaxation. Chamomile tea really does work. Milk.
Cam.
I like golden milk. Turmeric, anti-inflammatory.
Really?
Almond milk if you're lactose intolerant. And
Well, I am. I'm lactose intolerant.
And little cinnamon, turmeric. Really good for, nighttime relaxing. But any questions about anybody have any issues with sleep or stress levels, things like that? I can help you with, but I'm not a doctor, but I really love to inspire people to choose natural health, from beauty from the inside out, and health and beauty go hand in hand. Aesthetics, the Greek word, I chose Athena from the Greek aesthetikos, the study of beauty. Aesthetics is, the root word is aesthetikos, which is Greek for the study of beauty. But truly, beauty is about health. I stress less on vanity and more on health. So beauty from the inside out. And it has to do with many, many, many different factors, from stress to sleep to nutrition. And stress is a big one. So to mitigate stress, I suggest that in meditation. And I tell people that that really is not complicated. We just overanalyze things sometimes and we say, nah, that's too hard. I don't want to do that. I don't know how. And it's really, there's no wrong way. You just sit. And it's proven if you just sit for 5 to 15 minutes and relax and deep breathe, it's a form of meditation. What you're doing is focusing, and it's called interoception, focusing on the body and the sensations. I have in my house a room, I call it my breathing room, because, you need that. So you have a comfortable place, first of all. I'm tactile and I love sheepskin. So I have the sheepskin and an area that I can get right out of bed, do some deep breaths, stretching, a little bit of yoga. And I will sit there and, really set my intention for the day and just say I really want to stay relaxed. So I just deep breathe and really set that tone for the day. If you get up, look at your phone, typically jump up, have some coffee. You're coffee. Really kind of doing the opposite to relaxing. True. And it's a lot of people's habit, just rush through life. So you really want to just slow down a little bit physically. Get up earlier to be able to go slower. Get up a little bit earlier to take it easy. Because if you start your day rushed and without intention, without thinking about how you want to live your life, it starts the way you're thinking. First of all, start with gratitude. It's really important that we say thank you. It doesn't really matter about what for. Thank you for the smushy pillow. Anything. Thank you for this beautiful cloud. Thank you for my body that helps me get wherever I need to go.
Thank you for my business.
Yes. Thank you for the ability to do anything I need to do. Thank you for my drive to inspire people. Thank you for my love of people. And who am I going to meet today? So the excitement of people drives me to help keep people inspired to be their best selves, whatever that is. And I have a lot of people with a lot of different body types, and a lot of people, I consider this a safe house, a safe place for LGBTQ2T. I really, I think people come in all forms, and we need to be more accepting and communicate that acceptance instead of otherizing the whole world. I think polarizing is opposite of accepting. So what we have going in our culture, in our many different, areas of our government and even religion, we're polarizing. So to communicate that acceptance is really much more important. We, people that they're accepting, and people that aren't so accepting.
Yeah.
And how does that make you feel? You feel like you have to really guard it around those people that are rigid. So I read a book, The 4 Agreements, and that's where the 4 rules that simplify your life came from. And the 4 agreements I love because it teaches you to simplify your life by A, doing your best, B, be true to your word, 3, don't use personally, and don't assume. So those 4 things, when you assume or make judgments based on assumptions, you really are doing yourselves and others a disservice. So the 4 Agreements really was one of those books that was changed my life. It's a game changer because it simplifies, and anything you can do to simplify your life will help you. Because we overcomplicate, we overanalyze, we overthink, and we don't slow down. And that's a lot of times. Don't you feel like we rush through lives?
I do.
And we just don't take time to slow down and say, wow, this place is awesome.
Definitely.
What we live, and the country we live, and the place we are, it's a blessing. And it's not true for a lot of people. So we get busy, we have straw focus. We look through a straw at the negative things. We have to broaden our focus and communicate to ourselves every day that there's a Zen saying, don't just do something, sit there. That's just the opposite of the American culture.
Yeah.
Don't just sit there and do something. Well, you're not valuable. You're not just valuable because of what you can do or make or produce. We're inherently valuable just being here.
Yeah.
So don't just do something. Sit there and be thankful and be mindful and really have that idea that we're not here to just produce. That is an idea, a bill of goods that you were sold by our culture. And it's not true. It's not true. We are inherently valuable no matter what we do or make. We should really be valued for and valuing our elders and people that are not as beautiful, that, we're valued in this country a lot of times as women and people and for our looks and how we look. And we're judged so much by the way we look. And we communicate this through our magazines, through, it's a youth culture. So it's all about, youth. You're no longer effective or valuable if you're not looking your best, which is really kind of shallow. But it's how we live our lives. We are judged constantly on how we look. And it's really a message that we're sending our young women and men that is faulty. It's causing a lot of self-doubt. If we're not perfect and we're not just like everybody else, it looks like that perfect, beautiful person that are ideal. Changes throughout the ages, different cultures. Around buxom
Basically,
was
people like to choose what you're supposed to.
Yes. And culture, we can actually change culture, and culture can change us. But the more we're aware of how shallow that is, and the more accepting we are of people, and the more we put out on this social media that is antisocial sometimes. The communication style during COVID and during the days of this way we communicate is basically doing the opposite. Now, there are pros and cons to everything. It brings people together. Sometimes it can't get out. Like my mother's 83, and she a lot of times talks on social media, and that's about a lot of times she really values it for the people that she talks with there. It's a good thing. But there's a lot of bullying, a lot of cyberbullying there, and there's a lot of communication that is really cut short. And you don't get that emotional face-to-face time, and you're not really communicating.
Like what we're doing right now.
Right. We're texting. We want everything to be quick, fast, in a hurry.
But we personally wanted to do this.
Yes. And really want it live because it's real. It's authentic. Yeah. And it might not be perfect, but it's real. And it's really about slowing down and realizing that a phone call and in person is valuable.
Yeah.
Texting is become, and I don't know, it's kind of addictive. Yeah. I think that that we have almost a phobia. Some people are afraid to pick up the phone now, and they're texting and communicating in such an abbreviated way that it can get misconstrued very easily. Yeah. What do you mean by that? It's hard to tell. You can't see the emotion. You can't hear the emotion. We perceive things by our senses. So if we reduce that to text and short bursts of communication by words only, we are shortchanging our communication. And we really need more real time, social time, getting connected in real time and in front of people's faces, because mano a mano, face to face, because people that are missing that only are on social media, they don't see people, it can really increase depression. And during COVID, I know my nephews are 16 and 19. It really changed them psychologically. It was a difficult time, because they were socially isolated. And isolation in prehistoric days was tantamount to death. Isolation is scary, and people that shun people in different cultures and religions, and people in general that shun people and isolate, the reason that is so dangerous is because it's a deep down psychological effect. Isolation is dangerous because it is used with manipulation with people one-on-one and groups of people. And in prehistoric days, it was if you were isolated and you were outside of the clan and you were shunned and you were told, leave, you're in isolation, you were more than likely going to die. So it's inherent in our deepest part of our brains to be part of a group. It's safe. So there's balance in all things. So we, in our age of technology, have to balance tech in real time in front of people. Reach out to your friends. They may not be able to tell you that they are having suicidal thoughts. They might not be able to tell you they're in bad shape. That's not popular. Nobody's going to post that. Some people do. But typically, people aren't going to be vulnerable. They're showing their best selves, which has really been shown to be detrimental to people too, because they compare. My life sucks. Look at what all they're doing.
And that's something that I don't do on this channel. On this channel, especially with my music, I show sides of my life that aren't all completely happy and positive all the time. And I like to show that, there's darkness, but there's also light. So with each album or EP or set of singles that I may release, it's kind of like a story to me. Is it either dark in the end or beginning? And then if it's dark in the beginning, then throughout the album, the songs get happier. Or in reverse, the songs start out happy and they get sadder or darker or angry.
Kind of a paradox. You need both.
And that's just because I don't close myself off. I wouldn't release anything if I cared that people were going to be upset about what I was releasing, or if I cared whether people were going to think, oh, well, this is very disgusting, this is horrible, this is that, this, you shouldn't post that, you should delete this right now. I don't care, so I post what I want. Even if I don't even fully approve of it myself, well, I don't post everything. But what I mean is, if I have approved of the fact that
It's authentic.
I'm not perfect, and the fact that it feels real to me to express real emotion and not post something that I want to post because I may be afraid of what somebody else is going to think. I've never done that on this channel, and I'm not going to start. And so that's basically what I feel Susan is saying about the fact that we wouldn't normally do something like that. We would normally be vulnerable.
And vulnerability is a very, very important part of communication. It is something that when people offer us vulnerability, a lot of times it's not real comfortable. It's like a little awkward. You're like, what do I do with that? I don't know what to say when people are vulnerable. But that's where support of a friend comes in, and it's really important, because when somebody's vulnerable with you and they tell you, this is how I feel, the most important thing we do is listen and not go, well, at least you're not blah, blah, blah. Don't at least them. Listen. Just listen. And don't offer a solution immediately. Unsolicited advice is kind of a natural response. Okay, well, do this then. No. I'm trying to avoid that, because what people oftentimes can come to the conclusion of what they need to do themselves. They need somebody to listen to vulnerability. They don't need a solution every time, particularly with really personal situations. They really just need an ear. They need a sounding board and not somebody to fix it for them. It's really, a lot of times, don't you feel that, when you tell somebody something, you're like, well, you should do this. That's
Very
not the
much
goal.
so. I've had people be like that to me my whole life.
It's really not. Most people can pretty much figure out what they need to do, and it may not be your choice, but your journey is your journey, and your journey to communicate what I would do is not really relevant unless you ask me. I'm going to just listen and say, so what I'm hearing is you're having a lot of difficulty with, well, have you talked to them? Have you gone to them and chatted with the person that you're upset with? I mean, I would ask questions and try and help them come to their own conclusion, because most of the time we can, and really need to have somebody just listen. And if somebody is vulnerable with you, try and just be there and be present and not offer unsolicited advice. I think that most people, would really appreciate that. So the communication is a lot of times, it's more about just that instead of fixing something. People can work through things, and you can help them do that. Sometimes just with Yeah, I hear you. Um, and not get involved in the fixing process. So when we have times when we need someone and you need to chat with someone and you don't have anybody around, I've come to that time in my life when there was nobody really at that moment that I needed someone
Yeah.
to talk to. And you need a little bit of support and you want to communicate how you're feeling. That's where journaling is a really, really good time. When I wake up and I've had some stressful dreams, even your dreams can be a way of your subconscious to speak to you about what you're really thinking about. So I found a dream journal is really effective as well. And a lot of times there are similar symbols, but symbols are different for different people.
Very
There
much so.
are some archetypes, water, mother, sister, father. There's some schools of thought on dream therapy being a way to journal because it is your subconscious coming up through dreams. I feel,
Very much.
and you can tell. A lot of times you can decipher.
Yeah, you can really,
whether it's simple or it's deeper,
or just plain out confusing.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes people have it can also relate to stress or situations where you have felt severe pain that can cause dreams that are just confusing or even sometimes bizarre.
Oftentimes, and most of the time, and this is dream therapy in Carl Jung, and he's was around during the times of Freud, and he was a student of Freud, and then branched off and became Jungian. He didn't believe in some of the things that Freud did, and so he branched out, and he really has a good following even now. In the turn of the century in 1900s, that he developed a dream therapy. And if you study him, he had an interesting way of brainstorming. But the dream therapy he came up with some things that were archetypes or symbols that were universal. And water typically, a lot of times in your dreams, means the subconscious. And symbols, death, babies, those can really be misconstrued, like an intruder in your dream. Somebody's coming after you, a stress dream. You're like, why? Why am I having these stress dreams of nightmares or that some coming after me? And a lot of times I've come to the conclusion after reading a lot about it, a lot of it is things that you're repressing.
Yeah, and sometimes it can be scary. Even if, personally for me, I can watch bloody TV shows, dark crime dramas that can get very gory and not be scared. But something that happens in my mind when I'm dreaming at night can just make me feel like I'm a 5-year-old again, and I'm helpless, and I wake up and I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And so I'm just...
It seems real.
It does.
Wake up. And that's when you want to take a pen, be by your bed, have a pad, and write it down. Write some, because it'll slip away. And if the more you think about it,
the more it might come back. The chance it could come back. If you just
close your eyes and you think about a thread of the dream, you can think about the things that went along with it. Sometimes it'll be multifaceted, multi-layered. But I have been fascinated with dreams for a long time and had dream journals for years. And I've written things down and remembered them. But creative people typically have a better memory, short-term and long-term. And for dreams, and I believe that we can have symbols that mean something to us. And
One-
a lot of times,
One moment, of course. Um, is is it true that dreams can come from possible psychological problems?
because your subconscious is coming through and is telling you something. It is a symbol in your dream. Can mean the shadow self, as Carl Jung says, that you have a shadow self, the self that you don't show everyone. And it is, you have a man and both men and women have the strong side, the more masculine side, and the feminine side, the animus and the anima. And that is the male and female, animus being male, anima the female side in all of us. So you have a lot of people that are repressing something in their dreams. They're being chased by something. Most of the time in dreams, psychologically, your subconscious is speaking to you through dreams. And write your dreams down, and they will tell you something about it. Typically, if you're having a dream, a stress dream, or something is chasing you, and you're fighting something, it's a part of you that you're fighting. What is it that you are pushing back? Or what is it that part of you, or that something that you are not
holding on to?
That you are not. But sometimes it just means you want to think about it. You want to integrate it into your life. Sometimes something you're fighting back, or something is chasing you, is something you fear. If you give it presence, it will take over. What is it that you're not allowing space for? A lot of times it is the thing that you are pushing away is something that you're literally repressing. So if it is something that has a recurring thing, a recurring symbol, write it down. Your dreams will tell you much.
I think we should give a tour.
Let's do that.
Okay, and we will not be using the microphone or we could.
Yeah, sure, we can take it.
Alrighty. So.
I'll do it.
Yes. So, we will be taking the show on the road for the first time, the very first time. And this is a tour you'll definitely want to stay for. So, we have this room right here, which you may or may not have seen. Would you like to introduce?
Sure.
Because it is your spa.
This is what I like to call, it's a massage room, but I also create the space for deep non-sleep relaxation. And that's proven to really allow that relaxation time that's just as valuable as sleep. If you really, really know the power of a good nap, but you feel groggy, just deep relaxation can energize you and really allow you to get that almost as good, it's almost as good as deep sleep. So non-sleep deep relaxation. So what you're seeing in behind me is infrared therapy. Far infrared therapy is known to penetrate deeply into the tissues and increase your immune function, and as well as your light therapy is very powerful in the sense that it helps to heal. So red light therapy, far red light therapy, I have all of those things. And this is the room that you lay on this bed, and you can lay on top of a far red mat that penetrates deeply into the tissues and really has a healing effect on the immune system, the skin, the bone, tissue deep. So the therapy in this, it's a heated therapy, hot, dry, and goes up to about 150 degrees, and you're wrapped in infrared light. So far infrared, it penetrates the deepest. Red and infrared are skin deep. The spot is it's my little office. It's set to Athena, Spa by the Sea, a theme of Greek art and water therapy, because in the days of Roman baths, uh, really the spa was created. So the times of the Olympian Games, the Olympics were created for the study of the human body and the beauty of it. So you have the art that of the Grecian days, and it has the Greek theme for that flavor of the water and the Roman baths. The room in this is a treatment room that I do double facials and massage. So it's really relaxing. It's hard to tell here, but it's really where I do facials and massage. And I have water elements in every room as well as sound. So all the senses are engaged, from the senses of the olfactory system, the scent of lemongrass and peppermint. Really encourage you to remember memory and scent has a deep connection. So we all have that. Music and scents really affect our memories and can call up really experiences. So we use all our senses to create memories, and sense of smell and olfactory, as well as the sound of water and music. I have the Tibetan bowl, and I use this for the sound therapy. So we have the Tibetan bowl, and I'll go over here and you take the mic, and I'll tell you some of the things that I do during the facial. Uh, they can really help to relax. Is the Tibetan bowl, and I use this. And I set this actually on your diaphragm. So the Tibetan bowl is used for years in Tibetan meditation. Tibetan monks use this to bring them back to awareness of the moment. Very, very soothing. And when I set this Tibetan singing bowl made of 10 precious metals on your diaphragm, you can actually feel it. Sound therapy, as well as touch therapy, auditory, olfactory system, all of the senses can be engaged to really relax you. So we try and use all of the senses here at Athena's for Legacy. And this is the tuning fork set to 528 frequencies that really help to heal. This is set to 528, a known healing frequency for the body. And I really think that sound therapy is known for eons to your brain actually sets to the frequency of the music. So it's been used for eons for an advertisement, as well as it's not manipulation. It's more of your brain will automatically sync to the frequency of the music. So if you want relaxing music, preferably music without words, Alexa, play theta healing music. So the theta brainwaves
Here's some music by Atriel
are the
on Amazon
brainwaves
Music.
that will really set the tone for sleeping. So theta healing, theta brainwaves are the brainwaves that you have before sleeping or meditation. Alpha and beta are alert, are really the brainwaves that you have, and that is not theta healing music.
Alexa, stop the music.
So theta is usually it's been called binaural beats as well, because it is two sets of beats, and one in one and one in the other, that help the brain to sync to theta. The theta brainwave state is the relaxing state you're looking for. Alexa, play theta healing music on Amazon Music. So you can look for this. If you're having trouble sleeping, music is a great way to relax yourself before, because your brain will automatically, without fail, sync to the music. So this can be used to really relax, deeply relax you. So we're going to move over to the music and let you hear what it really sounds like. So it's really binaural beats for theta healing music is a very effective tool to relaxation. So I use this in my spa and personally when I'm having problems sleeping, because it is a very effective tool and can be used at any time. You wake up or you want to really relax before bed, add theta healing music to your sleep ritual, because it's it's almost hypnotic. So if you want to meditate, it is the music you want to choose, because it's been studied with music and music therapy. Very important studies that show the ability to create alertness. Now, it's said that the music that your most popular music that you love is distracting. So, what you really want to do is focus without music while you're studying, and then take a break and listen to the music you love. So, music is powerful tool to create alert brainwave states as well as relaxing. But the music therapy is extremely important, because, especially with music without words, because the words kind of get in the way. If you choose music that is instrumental only, you'll have a better effect, because your brain, once you hear music, once you hear the voice and words, the left hand side of the brain is engaged. So you're trying to figure out what the words mean. So it's best when you're trying to relax to use instrumental music and music that has no words. So the theta healing, binaural beats, instrumental music is always going to be a better option for deep relaxation. Music that you want to energize with, you can words and a beat that is really a faster beat is going to really energize you. So there's a lot of truth to using music and getting in that mood to exercise or relax. You can use it for either way. So I think that it's important we learn the value of music, and not just for entertainment, but actually syncing your brain to the mood that you want, the brainwave state that you want. So I think that when we study music, and there have been a lot of Steve Halpern has studied music for years and is on Amazon Prime. Steve Halpern has theta healing music, as well as deep relaxation and relaxing alert state, which is the alpha or beta brainwave.
So we have a question from somebody. Miss Susan, does music help you focus on work if you're working on something like an assignment or a study? Does it help the mind?
The studies that are out currently show that if you're listening to music that is your most favorite music, it can be actually distracting. It is. It does not help you if you're listening to music that you really like.
Because you'll
Because
sing the words and stuff.
If the words are you are subconsciously trying to figure out what the words, and you're listening to that. So it's hard to really be focused on what you're doing and listen to your favorite music. Now, with that being said, you can listen to music that is that has your favorite music. If you take a break, say you're studying and you're intent on studying and you're trying to learn something and focus, do that without music, and then take a break It's really proven that if you listen to music you love for 5 minutes, take a break, step away, and listen to music, it's effective. It's really more effective at helping you get to that brainwave state that you want of alert but calm. So that's alpha and beta brainwave state. So I'd like to be able to say yes, you can listen to anything you want. It is fine. But studies have shown that no, it's really kind of distracting to listen to your favorite music. Uh, Music in the background, instrumental music. If you're going to have any music, have it without words, because your brain is going to have that desire to decipher the words and engage your the left side of your brain. So the right side's creative. I mean, they both. It's kind of a myth. They both work together. It's not like you're just using one side of your brain ever. But the more creative functions are on the right side of the brain. The more linear, analytical, mathematically oriented are on the left side. So, but yeah, to answer your question, you may have for further studies on this. Research Andrew Huberman's Lab on Instagram, YouTube, and he is a Stanford professor, a neurobiologist and ophthalmologist at Stanford, and he has a lot of studies on music and the effect of music on studying, alertness, and many podcasts on neurobiology. So these are subjects that are very fascinating to me, and I follow him. It would be tell you a lot of information on how to optimize your study, your brain health, and eyes being a part of your brain, and how we take in and we perceive things. And you'll find a lot of information there. So look at Huberman's Lab and Instagram, YouTube. Andrew Huberman is on all those platforms, and he does podcasts along with his. It will tell you much information on that. So,
and if anybody doesn't know how to spell Huberman, it's HUBERMAN''S
Lab.
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 Huberman's Lab. So he has so many podcasts on the effects of many things on your brain.
Yeah.
From music to food, and how to deal with what's your best way to optimize exercise, even water consumption, sleep. I've learned much at Huberman's Lab.
Somebody said you're so sweet.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I really do consider people as one of the joys in life, and the people that I come across and affect. And we can all have an effect on everyone. It's a ripple effect. The one kindness or the one thing that you give to someone, it's a ripple effect. And it is really, we affect thousands at just one kind act or one kind thing. And one bit of knowledge or one focus on someone and the betterment of humanity, one person at a time. And truly, we do have more power than we think, because to affect a child in a positive way, you can affect them in the course of their whole lives. So you never know who you're going to affect.
Someone also said Susan is the best.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that's a very affirming things, and I love people and affecting people in a positive way, and sharing knowledge and tips on how to improve stress levels and sleep. And anytime you have any questions, well, I'd love to return again if you'll let me.
Of course.
And Atriel is very fascinating and a good friend of mine, and I feel that he reaches a lot of people. And I've really loved being here and sharing things and helping people with how to research and thinking about ways that will intrigue them enough to seek further study. So there's a lot of information out there, and on how to be your best self. And so I like to inspire people and communicate to my clients and find out what are they missing? What is the thing that I can help them with? So truly, we can all be inspirations to everybody in our lives. Children especially need inspiration. Women, people that are oppressed, LGBTQ people that don't have that safe place for expression need our help. They need each one of us to be a listening ear and to be, that inspiration and that positive kind of thing. Because really, that vibe isn't just it's just not a cliche. The vibration that we put out in the negative or positive has an effect on, it's a ripple effect. And it really makes a big difference in people's lives. So, no joking aside, it's what we all need to be considering to raise the empathy quotient everywhere, one person at a time.
And somebody said, Susan, I love you. You're the best.
Thank
People
you.
are really liking you.
Thank you so much. I look forward to, with Atriel's help, creating another podcast of my own that will have that reach people on health and inspiration for psychological as well as just beauty from the inside out. And that encompasses nutrition and stress levels, as well as ways that we can be our best selves through better sleep rituals and better health, how to optimize our health. So I look forward to coming back on and really chatting with you again and meeting more people and answering questions, because we don't have to be doctors and PhD professors to share the knowledge we have. And Atriel has shared much with me as well as others. And so I look forward to sharing and coming on again. And really thank you for inviting me, and thank you for listening. These are, it's affirming. It brings a lot of joy to our life as well. So thank you, people that are taking the time to listen.
Of course.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
Big hug to you too.
Big hug to all of y'all. And everybody, we will see if whoever wants Susan back, she definitely will be back. But I hope that everybody enjoyed this podcast. And every Saturday there's a podcast. I hope that everybody enjoyed this podcast. Make sure to leave a comment if you would like to see Susan back.
Please subscribe.
Yeah.
And let us know what you thought about this and think of any questions. And we'd love to do, if you want a special thing you want to talk about, and I can help, or Atriel can do his own thing.
And on her channel, she down in the description, and she will be making her own amazing content soon as well.
I've got a lot to talk about, and I really think that it reaches more people. I reach out quite a few people, and there's a ripple effect with the business I've created since 2015 at Athena Spa by the Sea, but I can only physically see so many people. So I want to use this venue and this platform to be able to reach more people and spread more knowledge, because I have a lot. I've studied a lot in nutrition and light therapy and sleep therapies and life in general. So I really would love to invite you all and to keep us posted and let us know what you'd like to hear more of and the content you'd like to hear, because we'd love to bring it to you. And I'd love to be invited again.
Oh, you will be.
Thank you.
And with that being said, Usually this is something that me and my grandfather do. But today, the say goodnight, Gracie thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm going to let you say it.
Good night, Gracie.